Hey everyone, today's forecast is packed with some serious weather as we're tracking a major storm that's going to impact the United States over the next few days. We're talking heavy rain, possible flooding, severe weather, and even some snow and freezing rain in the Northeast and Ohio Valley. As we head into February, things are going to get pretty wild. So let's dive into everything you need to know to stay safe and prepared as this storm moves through. Right now, we've got a large storm developing across the central and southern plains. It's already been causing problems over the last 24 hours with heavy showers and thunderstorms, triggering flooding in places like Dallas and North Texas. Unfortunately, this is just the beginning. Over the next 24 to 48 hours, we're expecting even more rain, which could lead to significant flooding, especially in Arkansas, Northeast Texas, and Southeastern Oklahoma. This storm is centered around a low-pressure system that's swirling near the Four Corners region, and all the moisture coming in from the Pacific Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico is just feeding into it. This is creating a huge area of rainfall that's expected to only grow in intensity as we move through the next couple of days. And as if all that wasn't enough, we're also watching for some severe weather today and tomorrow, which could include damaging winds, large hail, and a few isolated tornadoes. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Now, outside of the storm system, things are relatively quiet across most of the country. The West Coast is looking pretty nice at the moment, but we do have some atmospheric river events gearing up, which will bring more rain to that region soon. The East Coast, on the other hand, is calm for now, but that's going to change as the storm moves eastward over the next couple of days. And before we continue, I want to take a moment to express my condolences to anyone impacted by the accident at Reagan National Airport involving American Airlines flight and a helicopter. Just watching it unfold on Twitter and Facebook last night was really scary, and my thoughts are with everyone affected by that incident. Now, let's talk more about the severe weather risk. Today, we're seeing the highest chances for severe storms across the Deep South and the Southern Plains. Southeast Texas and Louisiana, in particular, are in the danger zone, including the Houston area. There's also a marginal risk that extends into parts of Central Texas and Western Mississippi. The main threats today will be damaging winds and hail, but we also have a small but significant chance for tornadoes. Personally, I'm not expecting a major tornado outbreak today, but the risk is still there, so it's important to be prepared. Even a couple of tornadoes could do a lot of damage, so make sure you've got a plan in place and always have multiple ways to get severe weather alerts. If tornadoes do form, the most likely area for them is going to be in Southeast Texas and parts of Central Louisiana, but places like Arkansas and Western Mississippi could also see brief tornadoes. Now, I do want to emphasize that today's tornado risk isn't particularly high, but the wind shear is strong enough to support an isolated tornado or two, especially if we get enough instability in the atmosphere. The big question is whether or not we'll see enough instability to really fuel these storms. And this time of year, the models can sometimes overestimate how much instability is out there. However, if we do see those conditions come together, the tornado risk will be most pronounced this afternoon and into the evening, with the peak threat being from mid-afternoon to sunset. After that, the severe weather threat should diminish as we move into the late evening and overnight hours. Throughout the day today, storms will be widespread across the southern plains. There's going to be a slow-moving line of thunderstorms pushing east through eastern Texas, and that will bring the potential for flash flooding in some areas. By early afternoon, the storms will begin to weaken a bit, but I do expect them to re-intensify later in the day around 4 or 5 p.m. as the system moves into Louisiana and Arkansas. If we see any isolated storms developing ahead of the main line, that's where the tornado threat would be the highest, especially with all the wind shear we have in place. The question, again, is whether we'll get enough instability to really get these storms going. Personally, I think the tornado threat will be lower and the main concerns will be damaging winds, but we'll be keeping an eye on things just in case. We'll be monitoring the situation closely today. And if the severe weather does ramp up, we'll go live to bring you the latest updates. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and have the notification bell turned on so you won't miss anything. So if things get intense, we'll be here with real-time coverage. Looking beyond today, this storm is only going to continue to grow in size as we move through the next 24 hours. While it might not bring a massive winter storm or a huge tornado outbreak, it's still a large and complex system. We're going to see widespread showers and thunderstorms today and tomorrow, and that's going to lead to flooding concerns in some places. But the real kicker is that some areas will also see snow and freezing rain. By tomorrow morning, rain will be falling across the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, and Dixie Alley. with the system moving further east throughout the day. Then as we head into Friday morning, there's a good chance we'll see a mix of freezing rain and snow in parts of northern Pennsylvania and southwestern New York, especially in the higher elevations. This could make for slick travel conditions. So if you're in those areas, be extra cautious and prepared for some icy roads. On Friday, the storm will continue pushing eastward, and there will be a low-end risk for severe weather along the Gulf Coast. We could see some damaging winds, and while the risk for tornadoes is lower, it's still there, so stay weather aware. Snow will start to develop from Michigan into the Northeast late Friday night. This won't be a huge snowstorm, but it could still bring a few inches in some areas, particularly in northern Michigan and parts of the Northeast. Now, I know a lot of you are probably wondering about the next big winter storm, especially since we thought this system might bring a big snow event. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like this one is going to be a major winter storm, though things could change as we get further into February. For now, there's no clear signal for a major winter event, but as we get closer to the middle of February, I think the chances of seeing a bigger winter storm will increase. This storm is going to dump a lot of rain. We're talking about widespread totals of 1 to 3 inches from Texas all the way to the Ohio Valley. And in some spots, especially in southeast Missouri and northeast Arkansas, we could see totals of 4 to 6 inches, maybe even up to 8 inches in isolated areas. As we dive into the weather models, it becomes clear that while the European model has consistently predicted cold and snowy conditions, there has been some fluctuation in the GFS model runs. The overnight 0Z GFF's run forecasted a cold and snowy pattern similar to the European model, but the 12Z GFS run showed warmer conditions, which means there is still some uncertainty in the longer range forecast. One thing to note, however, is that the majority of models are showing a return of cold weather for the East Coast as we move through the second half of the forecast period. Looking ahead to the end of January and early February, the models are pointing towards a substantial storm system forming along a cold front with potential for severe weather, including thunderstorms across Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Tennessee. By Friday, January 31st, the temperature will warm significantly along the East Coast, with areas in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast reaching into the 70s. This warmth will set the stage for thunderstorms and possible severe weather, especially in the northern part of the region. At the same time, another storm system will approach the west, bringing with it more snow and rain. By Saturday, February 1st, this storm will continue to impact the west, while temperatures in the east will remain mild ahead of a cold front. As we move into the first days of February, we can expect to see a shift in the jet stream, leading to colder temperatures in the north and milder conditions in the south. More zonal flow is expected, where the jet stream moves across the continent in a more horizontal fashion, which will keep temperatures generally mild in the south, but cooler in the north. This type of flow is not the most typical and could lead to some unusual temperature swings across different regions. Snowfall is also expected to persist across parts of the Northeast, Great Lakes, and Canada, with some more minor snowstorms occurring over the weekend of February 2nd and 3rd. By the middle of February, a more active weather pattern is expected to return with a series of storm systems impacting various regions. The models are showing the potential for some significant snowstorms in the east, particularly from the Great Lakes through the Northeast. By February 4th and 5th, there may be some isolated thunderstorms developing across the deep south, eventually moving northward. Severe weather could once again become a concern, particularly for Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas, where storms are likely to intensify. The models also suggest that as we approach February 6th and 7th, we could see more organized storm systems affecting the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast. A well-defined warm front is expected to push northward, bringing a period of warmth and high humidity to the east, potentially leading to thunderstorms and severe weather. After this warm-up, a cold front is expected to bring a significant cool down to the east, with colder temperatures moving in by February 9th. This cold wave could last for several days, with widespread below freezing temperatures reaching as far south as the Gulf Coast as we move towards the middle of February, particularly from the 11th to the 15th. The cold air may settle in for a prolonged period, and the West Coast will remain cooler with continued snowfall in the mountains. For the east, we may see a return of winter weather, particularly as cold air combines with moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. The potential for significant snowfall will remain, especially for the Northeast, with the possibility of another storm system tracking through the region around February 12th. While there is still uncertainty regarding the exact timing and intensity of these systems, the models are indicating that the winter weather is not over yet, and it could very well extend into mid-February. All in all, while temperatures may warm temporarily over the next couple of weeks. The cold and snowy conditions are expected to return with a vengeance in February, especially by the second week. The models are pointing toward a colder, more winter-like pattern developing in the east, with the potential for significant snowfall and storminess as we move further into the month. This suggests that winter may not be over, and there's still plenty of potential for cold weather and snow in the coming weeks.